Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. This is Peter Casper, and I'd like to call the Town of Hebron Board of Selectmen regular meeting to order on Thursday, May 16th at 7:03. If I could ask everyone to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very nice.
Good job.
Thank you very much. So first of all, welcome to Girl Scout Troop 65186 and the wonderful voices I heard to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So thank you so much. And during the public comment session, you guys can ask anything you want. So because you are part of the public, you don't have to. But welcome. We're very happy to have you here. So we're looking forward to your presentation, which will be coming up shortly. So, Mr. Tanner or any of the board have any additions or changes to the agenda?
I believe we do. I think we would be liking to add under new business, an item under 9C is a statement on housing on the Hebron.
Okay. So 9C will be in addition to the agenda. In addition to the agenda, thank you. Any of the board have anything that they wish to add or change? So Arson, good?
Yeah.
Okay, next section on the agenda is section 4, which is public comment. This section of the agenda is reserved for persons in attendance who wish to briefly address the Board of Selectmen. The board requests that a person's comments be limited to a single period lasting 3 minutes or less. While the board respects the right of the public to provide comment, this time is not intended for open discussion or board response. Residents who wish to request a dialogue should make arrangements to do so through the town manager's office or myself, the board chair. Persons wishing to comment should type comment if you're joining us virtually, and your name in the chat box, and you will be recognized by Donna. Donna, is there anyone that we have on the line that wishes to offer public comment?
Right
This is not your time yet, but does anyone have public comment that they wish to offer that are here today? Okay. So moving to what I know is going to be my favorite part of the agenda, I'll turn it over to Mr. Tierney, which is good to know and special recognition.
Yeah, so I'm honored to introduce Girl Scout Troop 65186 for a Bronze Award project. So welcome.
Thank you. Or should we stand to help with the viewing?
You can, if you stand over here, the camera's on top of that big TV.
Oh, okay.
So that X,
Yeah, you can go right in front of us.
just like it's like the voice. Yeah.
So.
You can go right in front of us if you want. So
And Gianna.
you can go right in front of us.
Oh, yeah, so Gianna, you go over there by.
And you want to look at the TVs.
Right next to me.
There you go.
On this side of my left, yeah. And then, oh, my other left.
You can see yourself.
There you go.
The other
You
way.
got it. Good job. Hello, Amber, Noah. Wonderful.
Did everyone can see on the screen? That's what the folks.
See you
will
up
be
in the
viewing
left-hand
from,
corner?
Oh, I can even speak over a little more.
on the upper left. That's how you'll be presented to the
Here,
audience.
see it on the screen?
Yeah. And our in audience is behind us, so. Great.
You're on TV.
That's all right. We're
can see
filming
you.
from our devices. So.
Perfect, you can see us on your screen.
You can see as well, yes.
Technology.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Hello, we are fifth grade junior troop 65186 of Hebron and Lebanon, Connecticut. Thank you for having us tonight to tell you about our service project for our Bronze Award. The Bronze Award is the third highest award in Girl Scouting. Juniors like us team up to explore the community, discover an issue they care about, and work together to address it. It's a chance for us to create a plan and make a sustainable impact on the community we live in. We did research on several issues, including people experiencing homelessness, and employment bias. We talked with our families and experts in our community about problems we would like to address. The issue we care about the most is animals in need. Animals need our help, so we researched even more. We collaborated with an animal rescue to connect with Humane Society and family and friends to learn as much as we could about the root cause. Then we picked one root cause that we know we could tackle as a troop. Pet owners don't know all they need to know about owning a pet. It takes a lot of resources. Animals cost time and money, and some animals need a lot of food. Our solution is to educate our community about pet ownership. We created a website that has information about all the resources you need to be a pet owner.
And about what do you do if you don't have the resources you need? There's a lot of information and help available to people to be the best pet owners that they can be, including questions to answer to determine if you're really ready for it. With more neighbors learning about what it takes to be a pet owner, we expect that fewer people will have to make the difficult decision to surrender or abandon the pet. The website has so much information. We just need to get the word out. That's where you come in. Please spread the word about how much we care about animal needs about our website. Please take a look at it yourself. We have QR codes to scan to easily access it. Please send the link to everybody you know.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate your attention to this cause. The invitation to be here tonight demonstrates your support of young people and the issues that they care about.
Thank you.
Good job. Very nice.
Thank you. Elena has QR codes for everyone.
Oh, nice.
Wonderful.
Are you taking any questions?
Yes, absolutely we are. If anybody has any questions.
Can anyone share with me what is the thing that you learned that you never knew before about pet ownership?
They'll be here in a minute.
So I learned that people steal the pets and they dye them a different color, and then people online say, "I'll give you $1 million for my pet," and then they'll say, "Here's your pet, but I just dyed it purple." Or like whatever.
I learned that, so I thought like people would just like drop them off at like shelters and stuff like that. People tie their dogs to benches in parks. That's sad.
Yeah.
I just
I learned that like I thought people would like leave them out where people could see them like out in them, but sometimes they just go like they go to the back of a building and like put them in like a dumpster or something and they don't care about them, they just leave them there.
Go ahead, then, Brittany.
I also learned that some rescue services they or like park rangers they would expect to deal with like wild animals, but they mostly end up dealing with like stray cats or dogs.
I didn't know the sheer number of pets being abandoned and how badly they were treated.
So like when I see like pets like abandoned, it makes me really sad. So like when I was little, we found a cat that was abandoned in the back of my dad's police department, so we took it and we took care of it.
You still have it? What's the cat's name?
So
The picture on our website.
shelters are filled with abandoned pets that people find because people can't take care of their animals.
Thank you for sharing.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It looks like-
That was very entertaining.
Are there certain times of the year that more pets seem to be abandoned than others?
Did anybody find that?
Maybe because like in winter like it costs more money to like have heat and like it costs more money for more things than it does in the summer, so they might like have less money to take care of the pets.
We also learned that after Easter, there's a lot more abandoned chicks, bunnies, small animals like that, that were gifted and not understood how they'd be taken care of.
Yeah.
I actually have two comments. One is a comment of thanks. What you're demonstrating is a willingness to make a difference in our community. And so we, as a community member, I appreciate everything that you're doing. You clearly demonstrate that you all have the potential to be future leaders in whatever community you ultimately choose to live in and work in. So thank you for that. And the other thing is that one of the most difficult things that moms and dads will find is actually public speaking, if you quiz them. And each of you did a wonderful job. You should be very proud of yourself. It's not easy to do. That's because Mr. Larson was so scary. But thank you very much for coming
Try to
in.
put a mask.
And it's this kind of thing that makes us proud to live in a community like ours collectively and to see this giving back. And so thank you so much for coming and for sharing your story and for making a difference in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us.
Feel free to hang around because we have some great topics coming up. But you don't have to. Thank you.
Past our bedtime soon.
Now,
I understand.
Oh, yeah.
This is the
Oh,
board of
sure,
our
yeah.
project, showing kind of what we did and the trainings we visited.
Oh, wow, wonderful. Oh, is that?
So
And there's a cat with diabetes at a shelter. We learned all about animals with special needs as well.
Yes.
So we just got a kitten that looks very similar to that.
There's the society picture.
Display this out in the town hall, you know.
Absolutely.
If you're not using it anymore.
You can just,
Put it in our device.
you can just leave it here. Yeah.
Absolutely. It'd be so
Thank you very much for that offer.
the girl, no.
Yes.
We're gonna put our poster on display. They just invited us to display the poster of our project. Woo-hoo. Thank you very much.
That's just gonna be dog licensing month next month.
Oh, perfect.
I'll put it up.
That is perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Good job.
Very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, wait. TV land.
Good to see everybody.
Take care now.
You're welcome. Thank you. I think we're gonna have them open every meeting with their song.
Yeah, that was great. It was great. It's sort of, those sort of things just continue to give me hope.
Sure.
Wonderful. So thank you to Girl Scout Troop 65186. And that moves us, Mr. Tierney, along the agenda to item 6, which is appointments and resignations.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, under item 6A, appointments, resignations, the Public Building Committee resignation and Department of Public Work Action Committee resignation. David Foster has submitted his resignation from the Public Building Committee and the Public Works Action Committee effective June 1st, 2024.
Okay, there's a proposed motion, which I'll read. Move that the Hebron Board of Selectmen accept the resignation of David Foster from the Public Building Committee and the Department of Public Works Action Committee effective June 1st, 2024. With regret and sincere thanks for his many years of dedicated service to the town of Hebron. Motion's been read. Any discussion? No. Okay, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay, or if you wish to abstain, please note that as well. Mr. Larson?
Dan Larson, aye.
Thank you.
Holly Riley, aye.
Thank you. Peter Casper, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Tierney?
Yes, item B, same agenda item. Commission on Aging resignation attaches an email from Tanya Mauer, resigning her position on the Commission on Aging.
Dan, would you like to read it?
Sure. Move that the Hebron Board of Selectmen accept the resignation of Tanya Maurer from the Commission on Aging with regret and thanks for her service to the town of Hebron.
Thank you, sir. So motion's been read. Any discussion?
No, I was gonna say, in reading her letter, she may not be on the Commission of Aging, but she's still gonna be working in the area, for a company that deals with, housing. So
Oh, okay, great.
not forgotten.
No, and obviously continuing to contribute, so thank you so much. So move to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay, or if you wish to abstain, please note that as well. Dan?
Dan Larson, aye.
Thank you. Peter Casper, aye. Sorry, we're not order. Claudia?
Holly Riley, aye.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much. Thanks to both of them for their years of service. Okay, Mr. Tierney, item 7, your town manager's report. I think it's next.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. So we've been working diligently on ARPA projects along with the department heads and the vendors, and we're making good headway. We'll discuss that later under the agenda item, but we're going to have a full-fledged update on the 6th, but we'll tell you some of the changes that we've made since the last meeting. Try to keep you up to snuff, but we're really trying to zero in on getting these projects nailed down and getting them committed so we meet the deadline. So we're having some success with that. Don will speak to that when it comes up on the agenda. We're closing out on the Wall Street sidewalk project. There should be a ribbon cutting Saturday on the 18th around 10 a.m. if anybody's available. residents from Ridge Road requested that.
That's Saturday, yeah, Saturday the 18th, so this Saturday.
We have a very sharp pair of scissors upstairs.
I was in the office. I saw those. Those are very,
It is a weapon.
those are very impressive.
Okay.
Very sharp. Donna was telling me.
And then they're gonna start the intersection construction at 316 and Main Street, which is Route 66, the first week of June. That's been a long awaited project.
How is that gonna disrupt sort of the flow? Obviously, it's a pretty busy intersection.
Well, it's gonna be staged and then they're gonna do some night construction. And we'll give plenty of notice for that, but they're gonna start off over on the Key Bank side. And try to minimize any interruption, especially with, school buses and things of that nature, but what day does kids get out of school, Donna, do you recall?
14.
So that we're kind of working around that a little bit. They're gonna, what they're gonna do shouldn't be too much of an issue, but then once school's out, they'll get more into it. But then they plan on doing some night stuff to minimize, well, we'll share a whole schedule. with you.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's gonna be a great change.
There'll be a press release and,
And what are the changes that are happening?
it's a realignment of the intersection and then an upgrade of the, signal controls. Doesn't have a lot of capacity now to work with the, pedestrian walking. You got a right on red that's very dangerous because there wasn't enough, electrical space to, conform, so it has to be updated and, took us quite a while to get that
Quite a
done.
few people do use that intersection during the weekday.
A lot of kids.
A lot of kids, yeah, go back and forth to school, yeah.
Very good.
That's a great.
Yeah, it's nice to see some projects moving forward, and we're gonna be going out for bid for the bridge too.
Okay.
So we're moving forward with that. The Memorial Day Parade would be Monday, the 27th. It kicks off at Ram at 11 o'clock. Starts, the setup is at 10 a.m. Anybody that's interested in marching in that? I plan on taking next week off. I'll be in tomorrow and Monday, probably Monday, but then after the rest of the week, I'm gonna be out. Try to burn up. This is where we have to start burning up some of our time.
I think we should take vacation.
And we're still in negotiations with the Park Union, and we will be starting with the Public Works Department. Is it the end? Is it in July? Or is it pushed out to August?
I think it was August.
Yeah, I don't know why it's so far out.
Yeah.
I think it will be retroactive, but we're in contact with both those unions and we're moving that forward. So, and that's all I had. I had an equipment show today in Wallingford, with some of all the, vendors that service the municipalities and stuff like that. So it was a kickoff and a lot of good stuff.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you very much. That does move us into 8, which is old business. So, Mr. Tierney?
Okay, so as I stated, American Rescue Plan State and Local Recovery Funds update, and I'm gonna turn that over to Donna.
Okay.
And excuse me, before we start, I did talk to Ken earlier, and if there is questions specific to Parks and Rec, if Ken wanted to comment during that section, if there is something that pertains. And is Craig on the line?
I don't think so.
I don't.
Okay,
think he
okay.
is.
But if there's questions, I will, allow Ken to jump in if there's something he can add to the dialogue. Thank you. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Donna.
Okay, so this, we did update the agenda package on the website with this information that we just handed out. So
Very nice.
Craig-
Easy on the eyes.
Craig and Matt have been working at trying to get pricing. It's difficult to get vendors to get back to you with pricing, but Craig does have numbers for skate park and dog park. They are attached to that summary page. On the, before I get into those, I just want to update you on the hybrid meeting room for the library. We have signed the contract. The equipment is being ordered. They are scheduling installation, so that is moving ahead. They came
Within
in
budget.
right on our budget, so
Awesome.
that is in the works. It's going to be taking place over the summer. And then the other big project is the security for all the town buildings. We have visited every location, done a review of the needs of each location, and we're waiting for proposals, and that will be for cameras, surveillance cameras, keyless entry, intercom systems, whatever is needed at each location. We looked at each location specifically for their needs. So those proposals, hopefully we will have within a couple of weeks. And the technology is amazing that we're looking. So the skate park proposals, for the attachments, there are two proposals that we have numbers on. The concrete pad, itself is $54,000, just the concrete pad. And then if we go with the modular option, it's a total of 220,000. So for that option, we would be looking for almost $76,000 more than what has already been designated, which was 145,000. And then if we go with a full concrete, which is the preference, so that would be a concrete pad, and then all of the obstacles and jumps and whatever those skate park amenities are would all be concrete. It would last a lot longer. It would be better for everyone. But that would be $186,000 additional to what we have for a total of the 331. And there's some notes on there you can see where Craig is saying that landscaping and signage can be taken from Fund 15. So we might be able to trim those numbers a little bit. Any questions on the skate park information? Okay, then next is the dog park proposal. So we got pricing for fencing. That is a firm price, $51,555. That is just for the fencing. And then there's tree removal, stump removal, a parking lot that would need to be installed, and furnishing. So the total estimate for the dog park is $93,452.
How much would our staff work on of these? I mean, obviously not the fencing, but is the other items or is this all
I think the
contracted?
parking lot would be some of our staff work, the tree removal, and that would be done by professionals.
Okay. So when we get, I mean, is this fencing as an example, do you know, I mean, anyone can throw out a bid. Is this a competitive price for 1,072 square feet of linear, or is this like we need to validate that that's a good price?
So once again, as Don opened up the item, I think he reached out to 3 or 4 different fence companies and only got one.
So that's the only quote received, so we don't know.
Yes,
even
I
where
believe
that-
so.
So, okay.
And that is somebody who came out and walked the property with Fred. So those are real numbers based on the fence within the fence and the gate.
Right,
and
right, the
all of
configuration,
that.
right, okay. I'm not saying it, I just don't know.
Yeah, I hear you. It seemed like a lot of money to me. So.
Right.
Everything seems like a lot.
In question on like the specs of this particular project, is this compatible with, is there like industry standards for dog parks? Are we gonna be doing this the right way as far as the access gates and the areas where, I mean, I've been to dog parks before and they have ways in which dogs are introduced into the
And
park.
I guess
and out
there's
of
a
the park.
small dog area and a large
Right.
dog
So they kinda know
area,
what
and
they're-
there are gates within gates. There was a committee that worked on this. And
Gotcha.
I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, Craig also saw what was available from surrounding towns, Colchester, the dog park, and a couple of towns. He checked with those as well to see what's available. I just want to say this is a 1 acre property. Take the linear perimeter of the 1 acre and then a fence to divide it between small dog, big dog, and then this, like I said, double gate area, so you bring them in,
Okay,
then you can close the gate, and you can open the other gates, and nobody escapes, and that kind of thing.
okay.
Yeah, that's how it went down.
Okay.
Any other questions on dog park? So we have $50,000 designated for that. Right now, we would be looking for an additional 43,453 to make that happen. The next item is the police tasers. So we had already funded that for 3-year period. We have signed the agreement with the Taser company. They are on order. It is a 5-year purchase agreement. It is not a lease. So and the pricing went up just a little bit since we had the original proposal. So if we go with the 3-year payments, we would need $300 more from ARPA. But if we go with purchasing them outright now and not having to worry about budgeting for the 2 final years in our regular operating budget, and that would be in fiscal year 27, 28, 28, 29, would be 5,000 plus each year. If we designated an additional 11,218 now through ARPA, we could just purchase it outright. So that is something to consider. And then the last, well, this is a new request. You haven't seen this before, but the Department of Public Works needs new radios to stay current with. What is that?
The low band
The low
frequency
band
is gonna be
frequency.
obsolete. It's been coming for years. And the prices that we were getting were a lot bigger than this lot, with base stations and new towers and stuff. The new technology, the repeaters, they're saying they can do it for what, 30,000?
30,917. We've been trialing these for a few
Yeah,
months
6
now, and
months.
they work really well. So to purchase them would be 30,917. We did run it by the town attorney. It is an eligible project through ARPA. And then the last item on this list is that Matt Bordeaux is continuing to pull together the updated proposal for the Peters House. That'll include the handicap accessibility, the storage barn with a foundation and some other things. So our goal is to present a package on that at the June 6th meeting.
Okay.
And then we are very confident that all of the money that was designated for the Wall Street sidewalks of 146,000, we will be able to bring back to ARPA. So between the two, we have 146 and then the 159,000 that is in our reserve right now.
Okay.
I think that's it.
And then we have a timeline, maybe we can talk a little bit just to refresh the timeline of.
Yeah, I kind of set that for the end of June because it's going kind of fast, but by beginning of July, we definitely need to nail down what's feasible and what's not. And then like Keith said, we don't want to give any money back. So we'll have some ringers there for you guys to consider. I'm sure you might have your own. Ken's always in the audience.
A long list.
Well, and some of these like that are more substantive, like the skate park, to get the 186 and would you recommend that we consider these now or wait to see?
No, I'll wait for the 6th, right? We want to deal with
should wait
it. Have the
until-
department heads here.
Okay.
They can answer your
Okay.
questions.
So this is just sort of preparing us for that.
This is what
The next
we've
meeting.
done in
Okay.
the since the last
Okay.
meeting. We want to make sure you guys know we're
That's right.
diligently working on this stuff like every day.
So there's nothing, but what about the radios? Do we need to take action or again, is that a 6 where we sort of look at it in totality and?
So I'm working on something else, which I told you, now that the budget's passed, we have a fire truck purchase that didn't get put into CIP. We have some school stuff that needs to be considered for either a supplemental appropriation or some sort of short note. The radios, we're gonna go on that list, but seeing we're having so much money come back from the sidewalks and stuff, and it is an approved project for ARPA, if that's something the Board of Selectmen felt that they could support, it would take that off that list. We don't want to have too many things on that other list.
There are items that are basically in reserve, and I'm looking at the Peters House. There was money set aside for the parking lot. There was money set aside for continued renovation work, which has not yet, it's listed in ARPA, but it's not been approved.
Right.
Is there any way that we could get that approved? Because, they're losing daylight. They'd like to get going.
That's what Matt's gonna report on next month, right? Next meeting, on the 6th.
Right.
Hope to have that finalized, exactly what
Oh.
what he would need to
Right.
do that work.
Okay, because, they want to get moving on it
Yeah.
and, you know,
So
we're gonna
there
be in
is,
June.
we already approved 100,000 for the Peters House. That has been approved. And then the additional was a request of 50,000, but we believe that number's going to go up because of the storage barn
Okay,
and foundation. But we approved 100,000 for the accessibility
Yeah.
in the ramp back in
right,
July of 22.
Huge.
okay,
So the additional stuff you're talking about, Matt's gonna finalize
Right.
for the meeting of the
Okay.
6th.
okay, because I was looking under, and I'm trying to see exactly
Oh,
where it
yeah.
is now. I want to say it was like 45,000 or something for more renovation work.
Yes. Yeah, there's John Menard's list, and then there's the request from the Historical Society for the barn.
Yes,
And so Matt is pulling all of those numbers together to make a proposal and have a, you know, a final number, which will be more than the 50,000 that's on that to be determined list.
okay,
We'll have that at the next meeting.
okay, it was, it was approved by the town attorney, waiting for board of selectmen approval. That was the 50,
Right,
so, okay, so that'll be,
I think that's gonna go up.
okay, so that'll be discussed and decided next,
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
hope to have that. He'll be here to speak to that. Craig will be
Okay.
here as well.
okay.
I had a question about the police tasers. Which LEO specifically are gonna be receiving those items?
What's that acronym?
Oh, law enforcement officer.
I believe they're all gonna have.
That's the objective, yeah.
Does that include the, full resource officer?
Yes. Especially. We run a taser, if they have to, it's not, you know, popular stuff for red. Have to taser you, shoot them.
Okay,
There's been some issues.
all right.
Okay. And, oh, Dan.
Um, On the time sequence funding, if we did the 3-year thing, the last 2 years would have to come out of,
Operating budget.
Yeah,
okay,
we feel it'd be, there's no savings. It's not a lease. It's the same amount of money if you do it either way. So we think it'd be cleaner if this board's gonna approve it, because in 5 years, you might have a different board of finance, different board of selectmen. So I, as the town manager, try to advise the boards that are seated for 4-year term, not to do 5-year.
I agree. I look at, you know, spending money out locks that money away. And we don't know what the economic climate may be in 2, 3, 4, whatever years. So, yeah, I would really rather have it over and done and be a completed project.
You know, in the other town that I worked at was really frowned upon when they had 2-year terms and they were making financial decisions for 4 and 5-year CIP payments. And it just, almost got, you know, legally challenged at some point. So we tried to.
And this is, like we said, a payment agreement. It's not a lease, so there's not a non-appropriation clause. in
Right.
there.
It's-
So
yeah.
it's-
Not, yes. I think we all agree. Okay.
Do you have anything you want to?
Additional questions are gonna be answered next meeting?
We're gonna have the department heads here.
Okay.
Matt, for all the stuff he's working on. I'll have the final tally on the Wall Street Savak. I don't know if you heard that. We're planning on giving all that money back. That was set aside in ARPA's
146.
146.
No, I was asking because as far as the skate park goes, you know, I appreciate that we got both, you know, quotes to look at, but then I have questions about like durability and longevity and that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
Craig would be able to answer those.
Oh, Greg is here. Hang on a second. I just saw his hand go up, so let's get,
Oh, I see the hand now.
Greg,
Hey, how are you?
go right
Here?
ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in a parking lot right now. So, yeah, I caught the very end of it. So I just heard what Keith said about durability and all those questions. So I don't know if you want to come up with a list of things that you want me to get the answers to, or, just have more information for you at the next meeting. Either one's fine with me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot this meeting, but basically
Sure.
those are what my questions would be around is, looking at the two, the durability and expected lifespan of a modular park versus a concrete park.
Yep.
Whether it has other, um, financial impacts to the town. Is one or the other going to have a different insurance or, other kind of impacts that we're not aware of, or upkeep? Those kinds of,
Okay.
long range financial questions.
Okay.
And again, I don't expect you to have like, what repairs on a modular system over the next 20
Sure.
years are expected to be right off the top of your head, but those would be my questions for next time.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely get that information, and I can get a lot more from you too, for you as well. So I'll have a lot of talking points for you for the next meeting. I have actually a meeting next week with the guy who put the modular together, so I can get those answers pretty easy.
Awesome. Thank you.
Talking on that, if you're meeting with them, find out if a portion has to get repaired, replaced as a modular system. Is that something that's easier or harder? Not any different?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just from my limited knowledge right now is, the modulars are all they're built to order on their warehouse in Missouri. But they're pretty basic. This is what they have. Whereas, a concrete park, obviously you can replace concrete, but they're a little bit more unique. You're building it as a unique park. Whereas again, the modulars, you can get those parts anywhere, but they'd still build them on site. But I can find out how, time frame and whatever else from them.
Thank you.
That's everything I have. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion and then I'll open up for discussion. I'd like to make a motion that we allow for $11,218 of additional funding for the prior approved project associated with the purchase of tasers for our police force for a total purchase price of $27,299. So I open it up for a discussion.
I'll second it.
I'm sorry, second.
Sorry.
No, I'm the one who forgot to ask for a second. So any additional, I know we discussed it for a few minutes, is there any additional discussion? I'm hearing that that's the preferred method of moving forward, so I'd like to, if we can pass some of these off the list, let's try to do that, but obviously an opportunity
I
for
have
discussion.
just one thing here.
Sure.
About the SROs having tasers, I'm not comfortable with that, and I need to learn more about that.
Okay.
I would love to have someone come in and maybe give us a briefing.
Sure.
I mean, if there's issues or school climate or whatever it may be, I would love to learn about it. So that's.
No, that's
I would
a
like to
great
hear
point, and I
more
know
about that.
I've had discussions with Andy one-on-one before about some of these incidents in terms of how to think about that, and so maybe an opportunity to meet with Andy and then maybe have a broader audience if we need it, but absolutely. It's an opportunity to,
I'm just not comfortable.
no, that's, I understand completely, and other discussion.
There's some fairly large individuals at the high school. They definitely should have that ability if in the event of that type of situation. So I just think that it's a wise thing to do. They are armed. I'd much rather have a taser used than deadly force.
I think at this point, the taser, moving forward, the tasers has previously been approved. This is really a discussion about the funding mechanism.
Correct.
And then obviously an opportunity to learn, how they're going to be deployed is an opportunity to to get more comfortable with it, but it's really
Yeah, I
this.
mean, just with the taser, that is, we're opening up a whole new world here, and I just want us to be very careful about what we are introducing into the community.
Sure.
I have concerns about, in the school anyway.
Okay, so additional, let's go ahead.
Again, I still suggest that we move forward to at least have them. The other discussion could be had at a later time, but at least this way, the equipment would be purchased.
It's just a funding, it's a funding mechanism as opposed to whether or not we should happen, because we did move forward with it, but additional discussion
I
on the funding?
mean, not really, no.
Okay.
I mean, I leave procedural stuff like that up to the experts, like, the
That's why,
state
yeah.
police,
Yeah.
Andy and the superintendent. I mean, do I have concerns about things that go on in school? Yes, somewhat, but I also am not, the type of person who doesn't believe that there's also a kid playing in their yard, that maybe there's a domestic dispute and a police officer shows up with a taser. I mean, a child is still involved either way. It's up to the professionals to make sure that the proper training is there and that the officers are responding with the appropriate force for the environment. And that's an expert thing that I am in no way involved in. As far as the finances, which I am an expert at, we need to pre-purchase this and not lease it.
Okay, so move to a vote. So the motion's been read. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay, or if you wish to abstain, Keith?
Keith Pettit, aye.
Dan Larson, aye.
Claudia?
Claudia Riley abstained.
Peter Casper, aye. Motion passes 3 aye and 1 abstention. Thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to make an additional motion. I'd like to make a motion that we move forward with the approved by our attorney approved the new project for the DPW radio purchase. And I'd like to move forward with that based on the amount of 30,917 and the discussion that we previously had from Andy on that item and Donna. So that's the motion. May I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, let's open it up for discussion.
Did you say that you were looking at other avenues for the radios or?
So I'm glad you brought that up, and you were the chief back then. We've been looking at this for 30 years.
Yep.
I've been here 30 years, and I was the public works director. This was one of the first things I had underneath Robert Lee. And what was the gentleman's name that was our emergency manager at the time? Lived at
Peter Carbo.
Peter
Peter
Carbone.
Carbone and I, and it just, the prices were astronomical because of what you needed. But now with Keith knows with the technology, it is so much easier to use and have the coverage. So they, Marcus Communications out of Manchester supplied us with a bunch of radios and a couple of base stations. We have one upstairs and we've used it. We still have them here for 6+ months. And we've had no issues. But we were talking in hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have a grant you guys approved for emergency management upgrades on radios, but we couldn't get this covered underneath that. So Paul's moving in a direction with his stuff, but this seems a lot more rational of a cost to move forward with because, like I said, this was brought up to us, the low band. We're at I'm so old now, I can't remember the frequency. We're like 46.
So we used to use
46,
3380,
Yeah,
3390.
that's the fire. We're 46.
4618.
46,
22 or
32, or
something.
34, but those are going away and they're all higher.
Yeah.
Bands. That's through the FCC. So we would be licensed at this new frequency. And like I said, we have some of the stuff already here. And I think that's very reasonable price. I mean, you've been involved as long as I have. It's like we were talking $1 million at one time.
What was the same?
All back to the technology, I put all new towers and antennas up where now you don't need that.
Well, communication is so important, especially when they're involved in storms, all the things they're involved with. We need to have a modern communication system.
And we've been working with a task force with Paul, the fire chief, public works director, to make sure what we get is compatible with one another. So it's finally coming to fruition. I mean, Don and I have been together a long time, and it's nice to see some of this stuff come off the list finally.
Additional discussion.
No, I mean, I think mine was answered that as long as it's compatible with other EOC technology that, go ahead, go for it.
Okay, so we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay, or if you wish to abstain, please note that as well. Keith?
Keith Pettit, aye.
Thank you, Dan.
Dale Larson, aye.
Thank you, Claudia.
Claudia Riley, aye.
Thank you, Claudia. Peter Casper, aye. That motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Those are the two items that I have. Does anyone else have anything on the ARPA fund discussion or any associated motions? Okay. Well, old business, we'll move to 8B, which is the Department of Public Works Action Committee update. Thank you, Ken.
Do you want to let Craig go too?
Yes, you're part of the public. You can come and go.
Where do you want to let Craig go?
No, Craig has to stay the whole time.
He's left over. Okay.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
So the Department of Public Works Action Committee update. We did, thank you, Donna, update a couple items on our community on our website. So we continue to provide updates there. There was a note that we would be receiving some updates from the architectural firm on some costs. We did receive that. It's being evaluated. We'll likely need some additional bids. It's a very expensive proposal, and we're evaluating that and may need to do some more work there. But obviously, we'll work in conjunction with Andy. If we're moving forward with a change there, we obviously are just here to make recommendations, but more work being done on that. Other than that, things continue to move along. We do have our next meeting on the 20th, and then more information will follow, obviously, at our next Board of Selectmen meeting.
And we did get our appraisal back on the Eversource property.
Thank you. Why don't you provide that if you want?
I forget what it was.
240.
Almost. It's 240, 250.
I thought it was 240.
Okay,
Right.
to say 240, I'll go with 240.
I remember 240, and because I remember thinking, just to refresh, those that may be joining us in the public, that is, we were looking at the Eversource property in conjunction with our assessment of the Old Colchester Road site for the Department of Public Works, and getting the additional, I think it was 3 point something acres of land that we could actually develop.
That would possibly be usable right up front, but that price is for 32 or almost
30 plus
33
acres,
acres.
right? And so that
Whole
appraisal's been received, and that's, then next steps would be, if we were to move forward as a town, we would need public's approval for that purchase, and then there's some additional steps, so.
What the next steps for Eversource would be is because they're governed or under Purist regulations, they would have to submit, they had their own appraisal done. I haven't seen theirs yet. That's ours. We'd submit the two appraisals and they would send them to Pura. And Pura would have to give them the final green light if they could sell it or not.
Okay.
Because it's an asset of the companies. But that might just take some time and that wouldn't hold us up. I think we would get our answer as long as Pura would, if Eversource is willing to sell it to us, I don't think Pura would stop that, but they have a 8 to 10 month review.
So are we gonna move forward, or is that still something that you're thinking through?
I have to talk to Eversource and say,
Okay.
here's the appraisals,
Okay.
we'll sit down with what theirs are, see where we are.
Yep.
And then we'll go from there.
Okay, that's great. That's a good update. Appreciate all your hard work on that. I know we've been trying to get those answers back for a while, so very helpful. So thank you so much.
On that, has anything been quote unquote sketched out on how that facility would look and how it would fit on utilizing that property?
That's what Peter referred to earlier. They're giving us prices on what that would look like to do that, to design that. So there's gonna be a price to get it to referendum, and then it'll be a price to finalize the actual.
Because that's going to be something I'm sure people are going to want to know, just
Sure.
how is that footprint going to be impacted with that property?
Right, that's really the next step is, what's the cost that we would then have to commit to get that information back to the public and obviously to the town and the appropriate board. So
Okay.
that's it. It's a process, but it's moving forward. So thank you to everyone's efforts to help that move forward. So that's my update on that. Mr. Tierney moves us to 8D.
Budget update.
Budget update, yes, sir.
The town of Hebron, the budget and CAP were approved on May 7th. The 2024 referendum, the RAM budget, and CAP budget were also approved. Attached is the certified referendum results. The Hebron Board of Finance is now not going to meet on the 23rd. Am I correct?
Correct.
But I think they're going to try to meet before.
30th.
Okay, so they moved that meeting
May 30th.
30th. And hopefully they'll settle it. That would be my update.
Okay.
Any other comments regarding the budget itself, but it was, we got some good press on that. I think everybody worked well together to have the end result and the margins, I think showed that the community somewhat supported it.
I would second that. Yeah, I thought you did a great job. Everybody did a great job educating, informing, encouraging people to come out. Compared to our neighbors.
But it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because that, you know, their colleagues and as managers or administrators, you never want to see your surrounding towns. Even our residents were asking, you know,
Sure.
what happened in Marlboro, and you know, it's just my opinion, and I gotta be careful with opinions. But whenever I've seen a town change their administration and go from a selectmen's town to a charter town, the first couple of years I have growing pains. You still have the board of selectmen, you still have a board of finance that has to get used to some other people, you know, kind of doing it a different way, and sometimes change is hard.
Yeah.
But I wish him well. The gentleman over there is a nice guy, and I think he's doing a good job. And they just gotta, you know, get together like we did and work together for the common good.
I'll say thank you. Any other old business which would be 18 to bring before the board? Mr. Tierney, nothing else? Okay, so that moves us to 9, which is new business. And that's 9A is our draft agenda for the June 6th meeting. So again, the agenda is for us to review, and any changes, anything else you wish to discuss, by all means, reach out to the town manager's office.
You wanted to, we added that agenda item.
For 9C,
Thanks.
Yeah.
so we're 9A.
Okay, you got me.
So I wanted that. Do I get? No. I was just going, I remember 9C, so that's what I wrote.
Yeah.
down. Okay.
You win a sharp pair of scissors.
Yay. Okay. All right. So 9A is a draft agenda. So again, that's any changes, any comments, just directing to the town manager's office, or if you wish to discuss any agenda items, by all means, reach out to me as well. Any other 9B would be any other new business. And so with that, I think I'm going to move right to 9C, which is the statement of housing that we added to the agenda. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Tierney.
Yeah, so we kind of put something together. There's been a lot of comments, and I've had visitors, residents come into the town manager's office and with concerns, and luckily had enough information to dispel some of the misunderstandings of what's being proposed. I mean, I think when people hear this, I think they automatically think we're putting up something that's going to be detrimental to the town, and that's not the case. You know, I tell them what I know. The company that's doing this built a beautiful project in Mansfield. We have pictures of that and knows what it looks like. And there's been a couple others in surrounding towns, and they really are. They're very popular. And I explained to the people that come into my office, at least, that there are residents that grew up in town that work at the fire department or work in town that want to stay in town. Some of them are renting, you know, apartments over the Flower Girl, and pretty expensive, anywhere from $1,800 to $2,400 a month. But that's tough if you're, I only imagine as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's hard to, you know, get a mortgage or financing at that young age if you don't have some, you know, credibility built up. You know, I know what my mortgage is, and it's peanuts compared to a rent like that. So there's a statement, and I think that it would, if the selectmen agreed to that, I don't want to change or amend that. That was a couple people taking a stab at it. We used some stuff that's already been printed by some people that were involved, and I think that's pretty generic, but it's nothing carved in stone. It's up for you people to look at and approve. But we should have an official statement when people come in to kind of share.
Now, this would be on the website as well.
We could post it.
Whatever
on
you
our
guys direct
website.
us
We
to
could
do.
Put it on our social media. It could be a response. We've received a few emails with questions, and we felt it would be better for us to give a consistent response. And so that we would use this or whatever version you agree. And then the same for, you know, selectmen maybe getting questions.
I would imagine we've all gotten questions already. I've been contacted, you know, personally by constituents, and I think this is a great idea that we have a consensus relative to how we want to bring the communication forward, because there's no question that we need to communicate as openly as we can on this, because there's so much information and so much, as people engage without the benefit of the facts and the information, we want to help them sort of get on it.
I think that article in the River East kind of sparked some new interest. I've had people come in, had people call.
People want to know when they get to vote. on
Yeah,
it.
they think it's gonna be a town approved
Sure,
project.
sure.
It's, you know, someone wants to put additional house, we don't
Right.
vote to approve that, right? It's to go through your, you know, your zoning boards and commissions and, you know, but,
It's an
Yeah.
Exercise in education.
And there's a lot to learn here and it's something that is complex and, there's a lot of misconceptions about it. And as I said before, I've been involved in one element of affordable housing in the business that I'm in for well over 20 years. And the government has said on more than one occasion that the biggest mistake they ever made was how they labeled it.
Yeah.
And that sort of allows people to come to sometimes erroneous conclusions. And so it's an opportunity to educate about what we're trying to do as a community, what we're obligated to do as a community, and then we're doing to bring responsible housing choices to Hebron, which I think when people understand it, they'll clearly support it because it's, as you said, how do you give a young person an opportunity or maybe someone who wants to downsize and stay in town? Where do they go? Where do they go? That's affordable. Or, let me know. Point me in the direction. Yeah, it's difficult.
I have a
So
couple questions.
Yeah.
after that. I assume this is a working document, right? It'll
Absolutely.
continue to grow as things move along. And then has the common CDC reviewed the language?
I don't believe we
For
said that to
accuracy or
them. I
anything
think you
like
guys
that?
are the first ones, so you're the first
We
stop.
have not shared this with them
Okay.
yet,
Want to get your guys
Okay.
but part of the last part of it is pretty much
from there.
from some statements that were, or answers that were given to questions on Facebook by code.
Another suggestion I will have on this document is maybe we incorporate an FAQ page. Something real quick, you know, because I'm hearing a lot of the same questions being repeated, so you just have something like, just very quick. I think that would be helpful.
So do you envision like the statement saying, I mean, obviously as it develops,
Mhm.
it could change, but relatively static in terms of identifying it and then having a fluid FAQ section, say, here's just the statement of purpose, or whatever, here's what this is just generally. And then FAQ you see as sort of something that we can continue to update, or do you, and I,
From
Yeah, that
through
wouldn't
the
come
common
from me. That would.
CDC, I think that would be better coming from
Okay,
common
okay,
CDC
okay.
because it is their project. It's not.
Right.
That's true, that
That's
could
where
create
the
some
confusion
confusion. That's true.
Exactly.
That's a good point. It could create confusion because although we may support it as a town and there's grants and things that as a town we be part of, this is clearly a private
I think
enterprise.
that information about the grant's gonna hit maybe tomorrow, right? The new additional funding that Father Ron was talking to us about.
I don't think so.
You
I
know,
don't think that's a done deal.
It's not last day, we don't have it in writing yet. Okay.
So one of the things that we could do, maybe to build on that point, is maybe you could articulate that one of the board's requests was that they consider an FAQ section and, you know, on their own. Because what, you know,
Yeah.
That, or if we could lend a spot on the town website for them, because people are not gonna go to this group, they're gonna go to the town website. So it could be
well,
labeled.
it could be a
as
link,
this.
it even could
it
be a
could be a-
link, just hit this link and-
somehow.
Well, and
Yeah.
if we use this or a version
Yeah.
of this, their links are here.
Okay,
So if somebody's reading this document and they want more information, this will bring them right to.
right. To
But
read
it's
more,
important to state for more information, somehow to let people know to go to there for added information. You know, the things that I hear the most, how is this going to affect our taxes? How is this going to affect, you know, the numbers of kids in the school? Are we going to be subsidizing, you know, more school children and, you know, us as taxpayers having to bear that burden? And what I keep telling them is at this point in time, you know, everything, the devil's in the details, and everything is still in a state of flux. I mean, there's nothing that really has much designed. A lot of ideas, a lot of thought, a lot of research, but you know, there's no actual this is what the building looks like. Not yet, this is what some of these look like, but this is where a lot of the taxpayers are nervous. I'll come right out and say it. They want to know, how is this going to affect them? You know, and I think it's also, you know, a lot of this is state mandate, and people don't want to understand that. You know, it's a great project, and you know, they're working very, very hard to think of all the problems and come up with solutions before the problems occur. And there is some knowledge that they've gleaned from other projects, but you know, Hebron, you know, taxpayers are a little worried. You know, the taxes are already high, and if all of a sudden they're going to be having to pay for other subsidies, this is where they're concerned, and these are answers that they need to hear. Now, I haven't gone on Facebook, and I refuse to go on Facebook because I'm not sure my Irish temper would survive. But
You're very wise, man.
yeah,
Okay, so I would then, so if the board could provide any comments on this document, which we appreciate, because I think it's obviously a wonderful start and very well done and good thinking for us to start to get ahead of the communication right now, which is great. So great job, I think, for the town to do that. And so any comments on the document, let's bring them to maybe let's try to target for early next week, just so we can keep this moving. And then I think posting it out somewhere, Donna, I think is great, and we can get it on all those sites, and maybe we can think about how it's presented if we do post it on the website, which I think we should. If we believe that people want to know more about the project, maybe we have that end of this document be a little bit more prominent or separately displayed in bigger type or something, because some people may not want to read the town's position. They might want to jump right into the projects, which we then can direct them over. So maybe in the news world, let's not bury the lead. If they want to know more about this, let's make it quick and easier for them to go on the website and hit the button. And then if they want to read the town's position, and maybe that's what follows. So just some ideas. But if we can get any feedback to Donna by next week, that would be great. And then let's get this information out to the public so we can help them better understand the project and solicit their questions accordingly, or just redirect them accordingly.
Okay.
and also I would suggest advising them that these are what some of the taxpayers' concerns, you know, so that they would have some sort of a response to them if at all possible.
Right, so how do we get feedback back to this private party that maybe, because people might first look to the town, how do we push that feedback back so they
Yeah.
get it real time? So that's
Yeah.
the point, which is good. So we should be directing them back, but how do we let them know that? And so maybe we should think about how best to do that. Maybe it's one voice, maybe the town's going rather than individual select.
Oh, it's got to be one voice. We can't.
No, back to the entity, back to these folks rather
Yes.
than, I meant like if, how do we pull those questions together? Maybe we give them to Donna, here's what we're hearing, here's some questions from our constituents.
And then she
And then she
feeds
said,
it back to
hey,
the group.
we feed it back, and then there's one source.
Yeah, I don't think we need to get involved in any parsing. I think we should handle this similar to how we handle the budget. Anytime an email comes in, I mean, we already say in our public comment speech every day that everything needs to go through the town manager's
Yeah.
office. Just like during budget season, anything that you receive related to this project, feel free to forward on to, Common CDC. And we don't need to compile anything. We don't need to make an FAQ. We need to give them exactly what we got and let them interpret it. Because once we start interpreting things or interacting with stuff,
It gets
one
a life of its own.
Yeah,
Well, again, this is a
one thing
private project.
Yeah, one thing that I've learned is when you try to help somebody out, all of a sudden their job becomes your job. So let's not make this our job. It's their job, pass the information through. I agree, we need to be short and sweet and redirecting, and it's their party.
Okay, so any comments on our town statement? Let's get it to Donna, and then we'll move along that continuum. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. That moves us to 10 on the agenda, which is our consent agenda. The consent agenda items are considered to be routine in nature, which the board may not need to discuss individually and may be voted on as a group. Any board member who wishes to discuss a particular item in this section may request the chair to remove it for later discussion and a separate vote if necessary. We actually only have one item, 10A. So thank you for letting me read that statement, but it is the approval of the minutes of May 2nd, 2024 regular meeting. Does anybody have any corrections or anything there?
I was gonna say on page 3 of 5, I believe I was the one that made the motion for the $10,000. And then you added the friendly amendment.
Yeah.
So. I think that was pretty much the basic thing.
Okay, I guess I apologize. I should have read the motion first, but if there's any other comments on that? Not on what Dan said, but in general on the agenda minutes? Okay, so I'll move that the Board of Selectmen approve the following consent agenda items and motions contained therein as if individually adopted with the change noted. The approval of the minutes on May 2nd, 2024. I'll move the question, move to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay, or if you wish to abstain. Keith.
Keith Pettit, aye.
Thank you, Dan.
Dan Larson, aye.
Thank you, Claudia.
Claudia Riley, aye.
Peter Casper, aye. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Move to liaison reports, which is 11 on your agenda. I do not have an update for the AHM Youth Services. Tiffany is not here, so that moves us to Dan, Board of Finance.
Nope, they're meeting now the 30th.
30th, yeah.
So
Thank you so much. Keith, land acquisition.
Land acquisition has not met.
Thank you, Claudia, Ram Board of Ed.
So reporting back, the evaluation process has begun for the superintendent. And the board plans on completing that process by the end of this school year, which is coming up rather quickly.
Yeah.
6 weeks left of school.
But,
And then, as I mentioned at our last meeting, the seniors will be participating in what they're calling the senior walk-in, all the elementary schools. They're changing up a little bit. Each graduate who chooses will wear their college choice shirt, which is kind of fun. And then the kids will line up in the hallways and celebrate. And then lastly, last week, as you all may or may not know, was Teacher Appreciation Week across the nation. The teachers were recognized with luncheons and other activities at RAM. Much appreciated by all. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We have no one here in attendance. So Donna, is there anybody, as we move to 12 on the agenda, anybody that wishes to add something to public comment that is joining us virtually?
There is nothing.
Thank you so much. So that moves us to 13. So I will make a motion that we adjourn at 8:11 p.m. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Who do you like better?
No, it's Dan.
Mr. Larson will second. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you to Donna, obviously, and to Andy and the town staff for their preparation and participation. And thank you all very much. Have a good evening. Thank you for those that joined.